Hello everyone, welcome to today's video where we are going to take a look at the 8th game between Dingliren and Gukesh Domaraju from the FIDE World Chess Championship 2024 being held in Singapore from 25th November till 13th December 2024. So before we start analyzing this game, fasten your seatbelts because it is the craziest World Championship match ever for sure in the history of chess. So Ding started with c4, which is very usual for him, and after e5 he played knight c3, bishop b4, knight d5. I've played this line as well a couple of times, and it's quite common. So here what Black is trying to do in this opening is that he is kind of giving up his uh, double bishop pair and giving white the double bishop advantage voluntarily, but he says that he, with the strong central pawns on c6 d6 and e5, he has huge control over the center. And this is what we see after bishop g2. Gukesh plays f6, hinting at playing d5 in the future, and after castles bishop e6 b3, he does exactly that, he plays d5. And after bishop a3 castles, rook c1, pretty standard moves here, knight e1, rook e8, f4, and here after e4, rook f4, we so yeah, just stopping the engine, it's quite distracting. And here we reach a position where I feel it is kind of double-edged. Black has his own trumps, which is slightly better pieces. This knight is going to come to a6 or d7 to e5, and this bishop is also doing quite great on e6, and this pawn structure is completely nullifying this a3 bishop, which is most likely going to come to b2 and start staring at this diagonal. And white's pieces here are not doing a great job. So anyways, after rook f4, dc4 was played in the game, and after bc4, knight g6, rook e4, knight a6, knight c2, we already see that there is a huge time difference between Gukesh and Ding. Ding has only 42 minutes left on his clock, and Gukesh has an hour and 23 minutes. And I'm not so sure why Ding used up so much time in this position. Yes, the Gukesh had more deeper prep in this opening than Ding, but usually, as we are seeing in this World Championship match, that Ding is using up a lot of his time right from the beginning of the game. But after knight c2, queen c7, knight d4, bishop f7, d3, knight e5, knight f3, here I here was the first time I was checking this game online, and I saw that Ding has just 27 minutes on clock, and Gukesh has almost an hour. And I was like, okay, Gukesh must win this. It is only move number 20, and this is not going Ding's way at all. After knight d7, rook e8, rook e8, rook b1 was played, which is a slight inaccuracy, but it's I don't know what is the best move for white here, to be honest. But after rook b1, Gukesh played an excellent move, which is b5. His point is that after cb5, he's going to play queen b6 check and then take the pawn on c5. And here Ding plays king f1. Well, you may ask, why not king h1, which looks a bit safer, right? Well, the answer is the king on h1. Like, the position is most likely going to an endgame, and in endgames your king must be more active. So king f1 is a better choice because it's more towards the center, and it's also guarding the e2 pawn, which the rook is looking at on this open e file. And maybe this allows Ding to be free with his queen. He can go to c2, and maybe sometime to c3. He can go to e1 f2. I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe even c1 f4 is possibility. And after king f1, and also in this position, if you think concretely, the king on f1 is not that weak, right? I mean, you could say the e3 square is a weakness, but how are the knights ever going to reach there? Like knight c7, knight d5 maybe is coming, but it's a long route. So after cb5, here Ding made a grave mistake, which is bishop b2, and already here Gukesh had a very strong advantage, and having 50 minutes on the clock, and Ding having only 15 minutes, and I believe Ding had to make another 14 moves in 15 minutes, which is really hard to do, because there is no increment in this game, right? So each player has 2 hours on the clock till the 40th move, and after that they have, I think, 30 minutes extra. And with the 30 minutes after the 40th move, with each move they play, they get 30 seconds extra, right? Here I was guessing that Gukesh would find the best move, and that he did. Bishop into a2, a pretty simple move. And after bishop d4, a very important move. Here was the most critical point in this game, where Gukesh could have finished the game on the spot. Okay, so the best move here was knight dc5. You would ask why. Like, the old myth goes that the knight on the rim is dim, right? But actually the knight on a6 is very strong here, because it's looking at the f4 square, and sorry, the b4 square, and it can guard the b5 pawn very well. And actually the knight on a6 is very very powerful, even more powerful than the knight on d7. And as we would see, after knight dc5 there are some concrete lines like rook c1, bishop f7, queen c2, rook c8, knight d2, queen e6, and knight e4. There are a lot of pins here. And here after knight b4 actually, and let's say white moves his queen somewhere, let's say to b1, and then knight b3 is just game over. After rook c8, queen c8, these pawns are just too strong, and just look at the knights here, right? But unfortunately enough, Gukesh failed to find knight dc5. He played knight sc5, and the point is that after rook c1, if he continues in the same way, like bishop f7, queen c2, rook c8, there is this very very important move, bishop h3. And this spinning the knight over here. White is trying to play bishop into d7 next, and there are a lot of pins over here, and this is a very very complex situation for black, and I believe already white is slightly better here, if not winning. But after rook c1, Gukesh plays bishop b3, which I think is quite a helping move. And after queen e1, bishop e6, queen f2, now it is white who has all the advantage, because he's putting a lot of pressure on the knight on c5. And after, let's say, rook c8, which was played in the game, bishop e3, a very very strong move. I don't know how Ding found it in such low time. And I think after rook c7, like if you see the timestamps, it didn't even take more than 30 seconds before playing bishop b3. After rook c7, Ding found another best move, knight d4. Well, the engine says that knight e1 was winning, but okay, who like, no human can play this move, right? Not even Carlsen. And after knight d4, bishop f7, Ding plays a very strong move, knight c6. And his point is that after rook c6, bishop c6, queen c6, bishop c5, which was played in the game, he's winning an exchange. But black has some compensation in this position due to his two queenside pawns, passed pawns. And black has this opposite color bishops, and this kind of is a triumph to black, because it increases his hopes of survival, right? So after h6, king e1 was played. Actually the engine was saying something like bishop e3 might be the best move, or even bishop a3, trying to go rook c8 next move. And but I don't know, it's very complex already here. After king e1, b4, queen d4, knight e5, king d2, queen g2 was played, threatening to play knight f3 check. There is a pin over here on the king, and forking the king and the queen. But here actually Ding is playing queen f2. And after queen d5, again Gukesh is threatening to push his pawns simply. And maybe even in the future something like knight c4 check might come when the rook is leaving this file. So Ding thinks about taking a draw with queen d4. And already this is move number 39. And after queen g2, queen f2, queen d5, queen d4, I think Ding was already playing for a draw, and he thought that Gukesh is just going to take the draw, since Gukesh is an exchange down. And here after, so Ding had to just claim the draw, write his move, next move queen d4, and then claim the draw to the arbiter. that it's already the 3-4 repetition, because this position has already occurred 3 times, as you can see, 1 2 and okay, um, 1 2. Okay, so this is not the third move here. uh, the position didn't repeat, like the position could have repeated after queen g2 and now queen f2. And so Gukesh was really clever in this situation. And as we were thinking that Gukesh is just going to play queen g2 and take the draw, just like we had seen before in game number 6, even as black, Gukesh rejects the draw and he tries to play for more. Even though in this situation he is like much worse after queen a2 check. After rook c2, queen e6, um, queen d8 check was played. Actually, the engine was saying that queen d6 is the best move, but I think still it's going to fizzle out into a draw. Like maybe engine running on very strong software is going to claim that white is still clearly better, not winning, but it's a very hard thing to do for humans, especially with this danger spawns on the queen side. Yeah, these are like really dangerous. Like if they start to roll, then it's just curtains for white. And after queen d8 check, king h7, queen takes f5, Gukesh played b3, and after rook c1, which is a very accurate move. I think rook b2 is not working. I don't know why. Maybe something like bishop h5 is coming, and maybe in the future queen d5 and knight c4 check is coming. Yeah, so there is a really good variation here. Actually, if let's say white is playing something like h3, just wasting a move, black can actually play knight c4 check, and after dc4, queen e2, if king c1, then there is queen d1 mate, and if king c3, there is okay, I was seeing queen e1 check, but now there is rook d2. So what can we do here? Yeah, so maybe this is not winning for black, but anyways, after like black is starting to black can just play after h3 something like queen d5, and then knight c4 is coming. It's very dangerous position for white. But after b3, rook c1, queen d5 was played, queen b4, um, just getting safe from some future knight c4 attacks, and also like stopping b2. And after queen g2, queen e4 check, just trading off the pieces, and after this b2, rook b1, bishop a2, forcing rook b2, and after knight c4 check, king c3, knight b2, king b2. This a draw was agreed because well, white is a pawn up, but since this is an opposite bishop endgame, opposite color bishop endgame, and also if it was the same colored bishop endgame, it didn't mean much, because these pawns are like are doubled, and it wouldn't offer white any chances. And so a draw was agreed. So a really heartbreaking moment for Gukesh, I must say, because he was like clearly better in this position. He just had to play a bit accurately, and he had a lot of time on his clock, and I would say like it should have been a piece of cake for him to find knight dc5 here, and just clearly winning position. Just to note that after something like if queen b8, let's say there is rook a1, and after bishop f7, rook f5, the pawn on a5 is falling, and after something like knight b4, again a small position for the viewers. What will we play here as white? Yes, it's rook into a2, and after knight a2, queen b3 is coming, and white is an exchange up for a pawn after something like king h8, queen a2, and black does have some compensation because his a and b pawns are passed, and they're really dangerous. But I feel that with the bishop pair, it's a bit easier to play as white here. So that was it for today's game. It was yeah, I hope Gukesh had won it, and just like yesterday, Gukesh had Ding on the ropes and just missed it by a whisker, and even today the same thing happened. and I hope Gukesh doesn't get demotivated and he comes out strong in the last round. And stay tuned for tomorrow's video of the recap of round 9. And I uh, I hope to, yeah, and just hit the subscribe button if you like the video, and also hit the like button. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, evening, night, wherever you're from. And yeah, um, I'll be, and see you. Goodbye. Hare Krishna.